Hi founders, Paul Sullivan here of Bias, thinking about how you fail to plan, you plan to fail. We're all guilty of winging it, right? And I did it a few weeks back when I had the opportunity to tell the rest of the community in my business complex what it is that I do. Now, I'm not a massive fan of these 60-second pitches, and it wasn't quite that, but I most certainly could have done it with a bit more guidance from the venue on what good looks like, and I actually should have applied myself a little bit better, and because I didn't plan, I failed to communicate my business value. I walked away from there and I hadn't told them anything that we were doing this year. Didn't tell them anything about how that could help them. And I didn't even leave with a call to action, right? So that's me not taking my own advice. And that's just a real micro example of me still doing that today. But founders kind of get into this thing where you go through accelerator programs and you build these vision plans for VCs, but that's often not a real business plan. What you're building is a vision of what your product can do, and if you hit those projected numbers, what revenue you might earn. That in itself is not a business plan, right? You need to be thinking about who you need to hire, when you need to hire them, what sort of numbers you need to hit to be getting there, and what sort of cost you need to be adhering to. So, I said to myself last year, we're great at ops, we're great at delivery, we're great at strategy, and I'm shit at numbers because I kind of don't stay on top of them. And that is not good enough. This year, I've jumped all over the numbers, and it's been the first thing that I've got sorted out. So I know where the revenue is, where I need to get to, where it should be coming from, what the sales figures are, and what that's going to enable and how that's going to enable me to transform my business. And most people can't do that, right? I forecasted or predicted that we should sell our core trademark product that we own, Arise, 12 times this year and hit 1.4 million in revenue. Turnover, right? And on about a 40% profit margin. And how different is that to a B2B SaaS or fintech founder? Your core product is this piece of tech, this SaaS, this fintech, whatever it is that you need to sell. How are you planning to do that? And it's not responsible to say it's not my fault that the sales leader didn't build the right strategy. You can't vindicate your decision by delegation. It's always your responsibility. You are ultimately responsible. Salespeople are experts at selling, but you might not have hired the right salesperson. You might not have hired a strategist. You might have hired a closer. Imagine hiring a closer to then get them to build strategy. It's not their forte. They're going to come up with some wild figures and you're going to buy into it, and then they're not going to get there, and you would have built a whole year on this wild goose chase strategy. You have to say, what do we need to do this year? If you did 3 million last year but want to do 5 this year, what did we do the year before? If we did 2.2 and we got to 3, it's highly unlikely you're going to go from 3 to 5. So this comes back to setting unrealistic sales targets and then not having the right plans in place. You fail to plan and you plan to fail. And what's the biggest thing you didn't plan for, and what did you learn from it? Put your answers in the comments below.